Hi, welcome back to the WOW stage. Now we have another panel named Next Runways, about the future of runways. And please welcome on our WOW virtual stage our hosts. As soon as I see them, welcome, good morning, hi. We have here Aileen Carville. Please tell me if I pronounce your name wrong. I hope to do it well. Aileen Carville from SKMMP, fashion tech. Aileen is a fashion tech entrepreneur who founded SKMMP. That is a B2B smart. Anyone is talking? I'm hearing someone talking, but I don't know if there is any problem. Do you have any problem with the connection?
No, I can hear some background voice as well.
Ah, okay. Okay, let's try. So, getting back to Aileen. Aileen is a fashion tech entrepreneur who founded SKMMP. Like, this is a B2B smart showroom wholesale platform who founded it in 2018. Céline is a familiar face because it was here before in other panel. And last panel, Céline Delaugère. Pronounce it well.
Hello, yes, I am Céline Delaugère.
Delaugère, yes. Oui, Céline Delaugère. From Eva Engines. We have also here Mao Lin Liao, Reblika, from Reblika. He is the founder of Reblika, the character company, with a vision to become world's #1 character company and crossing the uncanny valley by 2025. Then we have also Gabriella Sapone from JOOR. Is that correct? Yeah, JOOR. And Shivang Desai from Bigthinx. So, first of all, I know that some of you have some videos to show. And if it's okay with you, I'll start with the first round of this video showing, so that you can present yourself. If you have a video, you can show the video and say something and present yourself, present the project. And if you don't have the video, you can do it without the video. And then we getting back and start again with the first question for everyone. We have a lot of topics to cover because there was a big thread by email, so we know you know what we are going to talk about. But we can start with Aileen, if it's okay, and with. Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Now, I know that I sent a video to Anastasia. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, and now we can show the video and just.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Okay, so what you're seeing on screen at the moment is we launched it back in 2018, before COVID, and basically the platform was created from our own experience servicing luxury buyers during London and Paris and Milan Fashion Week. So what you can see here is the digitized catalog. For us, it had to be incredibly intuitive for the buyer. So the buyer has so much line sheets, so many brands trying to reach out to them. So for us, everything had to stay very, very centralized. The assets are all associated back to the visual content from line sheets, close up. And you can see immediately when COVID hit last year, we started to really look at kind of the digital assets, because that was actually a problem in the supply chain, trying to get assets and optimizing. So we reached out to really great providers such as the Fabricant, JOOR, and others in the digital supply chain, where we could ensure their files. I suppose prior to all of that, when we launched in 2018, we actually created the first JOOR hologram for London and Paris Fashion Week. So this is kind of one of the posts that we have here, but you can see here where we shot the model in advance of Fashion Week on a green screen, and then we worked with our JOOR partner in London, and we created these really great AO representations of the, oops, a little bit of a blind spot there. But it was really great because when we were in the physical showroom in London and Paris, we could actually show the buyers the models, the virtual models, for dozens of fashion weeks. I would have traveled with a fit model myself to sell the collection. So for us, this was very liberating, being able to be very transportable with the collection, with the drape, the emotion, etc., with the collection. So here we are out in Place des Vosges, a beautiful area in Paris. We were able to bring a number of buyers to this location without a model, and then present the kind of a short micro catwalk show to the buyers and some press, and then also within the showroom. So like that was 2018, but for us, understanding the buyer and bringing better kind of blended experiences was very much at the fore back then.
Okay, thank you. Let's go on with this first overview. I think that also Mao has some video, or some, yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
I asked the technical team if there's the video. Okay, perfect.
So guys, can you hear me? Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, we've been approached by Balmain last year during the lockdown. As you can see, runway show, it was not possible. So what we did is actually bring the runway show online. And what you see here is we call a WebGL representation of the entire collection for buyers. So not only can you see all the information, but you can also turn it around and inspect everything closely. Although our focus is more on the realistic side of characters, and that's why we're doing, but being able to scale up really quickly. Basically, the challenge was creating 80 styles, 40 lookbook, 40 Q looks in a very short time. That was something that not all people can do. And I would like to show maybe the other video that's showing the process a little bit about 3D scanning. Because what you see here is not a CLO files that have been converted, because not all brand has CLO files, as we know. And the move to digital will be slow. But before that, we should be able to acquire a digital scan of the garments and be able to show it in full glory. And that's what we did with our very high-end pipeline. We basically create a 3D scanning rig that can be brought to studios, a location, and that allows to really quickly scan over like hundreds, set like this in a day, and process it in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, we managed to not only scan, but also digitize and bring alive to these avatars in 2 weeks. So in order to do that, you need a really solid pipeline, and that is what Reblika stands for. We are very good in technical things. We're coming from the game and movie industry, and that really helps the fashion moving forward. Last but not least, what I want to mention is that during the lockdown, of course, we all have to work from home. That actually has some benefits because we actually win 1 or 2 hours of commuting time. Some people actually, I think that's also contributing to the effort of this project. So thank you. That was my presentation.
We also have a video from Shivang, right? So
yes. Yes, thank you. So I'll let the video come up on the screen. At Bigthinx, we basically are a company that focuses on body scanning and virtual try-ons. But last year during the pandemic, we were actually requested by some of our clients to put on a virtual fashion show using our technology to digitize real people into virtual models and create virtual clothing using our technology, which we did. And we started off on a large stage, which was the New York Fashion Week. Since then, we've gone on to do various different showcases with this technology, and we've managed to bring it out not just to virtual fashion shows, but also showcases, which similar to as Mao described, that can sit on websites, can be accessed by anyone as they're visiting a web page, and therefore be able to immerse themselves inside an experience without needing to leave their desk or their chair or even their smartphone. That's a little bit about us, and thank you.
Right. And let's hear from Gabriella what they are doing so we can complete the overview, the first round.
Sure. So JOOR is the global leading B2B solution for brands and retailer. We work with over 8,000 brands and 350,000 retailers globally. The platform is on the market since 11 years. It's a US-based platform. And regarding catwalks and trade shows, we've built a product in June 2020 that is called JOOR Passport. And practically, you can go on our website and we are hosting virtually those events. We are partnering with fashion weeks, such as the London Fashion Weeks, for example, Istanbul Fashion Weeks. We are partnering with trade shows all over the world, Liberty Fair, Premium in Berlin, Splash Paris, and with other organizations such as, the government of Great Britain, Spain, Georgia. So what we do is that we host these events. They can have their own homepage on JOOR. They can have the brand directory where they have all of the brands attending, and the buyers can attend completely free of charge. We always believed in a hybrid approach. So we are a digital solution, 100%, but we also have some tools to let's say, help the physical experience. So when it comes to trade shows, for example, we have a mobile application, and because JOOR is a solid B2B solution, when it comes to selling during market, for example, we have an iPad application. And so this is what we've built. First of all, we are a B2B solution. So everything comes after, let's say, virtual showrooms. This is something that we always had, and now with the necessity to go digital, we always provided a tool for fashion weeks and trade shows.
Thank you. Last but not least, as we say always, Céline.
Hello, everyone. I am Céline, co-founder and CEO of Eva Engines. At Eva Engines, we are a B2B platform simplifying the fashion design and creation process. Actually, on our platform, you can upload or draw a sketch of a product and instantly visualize hyper-realistic 2D image in a few seconds thanks to artificial intelligence. So this is a very, very new technology allowing to be very fast. And actually, I launched Eva Engines in 2019. So today we have our V1 and are working on the creation process of a few brands. Actually, I've been modeling for 4 years for many brands. I've been part of shows in fashion weeks of New York, Milan, London, and Paris. And at the same time, I was studying AI and the latest technology in the research laboratory of Les Mines de Paris. And I decided to take action and to give the opportunity to fashion brands to use the latest technology and to help brands and designers and creatives to use these new technologies to transform the industry to a more sustainable and digital world. So that's about Eva Engines. So our platform is very simple and intuitive, and is producing very realistic renderings, even if they are 2D for now, and is very fast. So the idea is to have the ability to make decisions at a very early stage of the creation process, and to produce the right product, and to avoid cancellations, and to reduce the waste of fabrics in the creation process.
Thank you, Céline. Since Céline gave us a little bit of her background, I'd like to hear a background, also your background, and what brought you to fashion tech industry. So let's start again with Aileen, if you will. Can you hear me? Yeah. Because I cannot hear you. Aileen? I don't hear you. Okay. Meanwhile, we can maybe start with Mao. What brought you to the fashion tech industry, and what's your background? Just a little overview of your background.
Thank you for asking. Actually, it's very interesting. My background is actually in the gaming and the film industry, and we kind of like creating characters for as part of the pipeline for games and movies. I never thought to actually use it for fashion. But then since 2019, I started to digitize clothing for brands and really get involved in the process and find out that a lot of things are in common, what they need to create avatars. And the whole virtual fitting is something that I'm really interested at this moment. So after I've been working 2 years in this field, I start to realize there's a need for better looking avatars, but the avatars is not always really converting in a natural way, meaning that they can look a bit uncanny, a bit scary, and you try to reach the hyper realistic version. And that's why you see a lot of like stylized human in fashion, just to avoid that discussion. So my company, and also the reason why we can solve this problem, is because we have the tools and the knowledge working with digital human from the movie point of view, and trying to make shift to fashion is kind of like the next logical step. I think we can be a great use by utilizing our background in the VFX film industry. Yeah, as I said, that's my background, and yeah, I hope to really see more innovation in this field from film as well.
Good. It is very interesting, the connection between games and fashion tech. And Shivang, your background?
Hi, so I'm one of the founders of Bigthinx, and along with my co-founder, we came up with Bigthinx in 2017. But before that, I've been a technologist all of my professional life and an entrepreneur for the past 14 years. So I've started up previously 3 companies, all in tech, in different fields of technology, but all in information technology, and built and sold them in the US and in India. Now, when my co-founder and I came together and put our heads together in 2017, we realized we were buying a lot of clothes that we were returning over and over again. And we obviously realized we weren't the only ones facing this problem. So we dug a little deeper and realized that there was a huge wasted opportunity, enormous amount of apparel waste, enormous amounts of destruction, a huge amount of clothing that was being destroyed in landfills, incinerators, and of course, economically speaking, a massive, massive amount of money being lost by brands on returns. And that's when we put together our skills and decided to use artificial intelligence to help solve the problem. At Bigthinx, what we ended up creating is a suite of products which involves mobile body scanning for size matching and recommendations, and digital trials using personalized and hyper-personalized avatars to give people an exact idea of how clothing would look and fit on them on any website whenever they're browsing or shopping online or in a mobile app. And that's where we are today doing that.
Thank you. Aileen, are you back? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
So
great.
Right.
So yes, I've been, I started working in the fashion industry in PR in London, circa 1996, a long time ago, and then moved in-house with, a beautiful luxury designer, and ended up taking the wholesale in-house and some of the PR. So I suppose, with that role, we presented our catwalk collections every season on schedule at London Fashion Week, and then brought the collection over to Paris and sometimes Milan and Pitti for the menswear So pretty much a career in luxury fashion spanning over 18 years plus. Also, so I suppose, you know, starting off in 1996, we were absolutely in analog, and there was a transition into digital with assets, with the sort of the presentation and all of the sort of that sort of you know, kind of the imagery and the content that started to grow with the fashion industry, which is incredibly rich. But I suppose in the last, you know, 5 years or so, you know, that actually a bit longer, especially with the emergence of social, you know, that content has absolute major currency now, and I suppose that's why we're all here, like looking at the storytelling, the visual storytelling, but also the transactions that happen within fashion on, you know, kind of the B2B and B2C. So it seemed like when I decided to start SKMMP, I absolutely pulled myself away from my job and my industry to immerse myself in technology, to understand what were the tools that I was going to need to enable building SKMMP from our own perspective. Yes, there were a couple of competitors in the marketplace at that time, but we were definitely looking at the kind of heightened visual interaction with the collection, which I would have compiled for many a buyer who didn't show up at Paris, or maybe got, you know, cancelled the appointment because of kind of bottleneck situations that is very common, and ensuring that you are delivering the assets and the content for a buyer to complete the order, you know, without actually meeting them physically. So that was kind of the crux of SKMMP and why we approached it that way.
Thank you. Gabriella.
Yes. So before joining JOOR, I didn't have tech background, because I've started working in the fashion industry, let's say 14 years ago, and I covered different roles, you know, from press offices, showrooms, and then I started working in advertising representative. So basically I was selling major qualitative newspapers and magazines like Le Figaro in France, the New York Times, Times of London, Wallpaper magazine, Marie Claire. And so I was really close to the fashion industry because I was selling to luxury brands in Italy. And so that is when JOOR called me to start the business in Italy. And when I joined JOOR 3 years ago, I mean, the platform wasn't really known in Italy. It was very well known internationally, you know, because we are a US-based company, so very well known in US, in France, for example, in UK. But at the beginning, it was, everything had to be, you know, created. And so I have to say, in 3 years, we had a major and amazing evolution in Italy as well. And yeah, so that's my story in short.
Yeah, to understand the journey of this kind of technology, I would like to ask you, what's the reaction you get from your clients when you show them your avatars or your products? As Mao said before, the big thing is to make avatar looks like a person, makes it look like familiar. So what's the reaction you get when you show them? Or you just show to clients that already asked you, so there is no reaction because they already know the product? Let's start with Aileen, maybe? So we can go backwards, yeah.
Okay, so when we originally created the holograms back in 2018, the end of 2017, that really was a very kind of, you know, the first sort of immersive virtual experience buyers had seen. They really were expecting Princess Leia to come out of the floor in the showroom, or from the gravel in Place de Vosges. So they didn't know what to expect, but when they saw it and they saw it play out in a very kind of, you know, we put a lot of time and effort into the motion, the kind of pace of the hologram, that it had to have a sort of a connectivity, emotion, etc. So when they saw it, we really, when the buyers saw it and kind of observed it and absorbed that experience, it was very positive. So, you know, and it's something that we still do today. Obviously, the emergence of more avatars and digital humans, etc., is more prevalent now, and it really is soaking into society and in fashion and as consumers. So it's really evolved and evolving. Even there's more to evolve yet, but it's a super exciting space, and I think the consumer and the industry are ready now to kind of weigh up how they're going to move forward with this duplicity of physical and digital.
Thank you. Céline?
Yes. So actually, our concept as Eva Engines is very easy to understand. You can go from a sketch to a realistic 2D image in a few seconds. So brands and creatives, they were understanding very easily the concept. But it was more difficult to show them that it's really possible and that we can learn an AI to understand the textures. And so we had to show them renderings and step by step show them that, yeah, it's possible actually to learn an AI to generate textures from a sketch and from their learnings step. And they really directly see that the potential of our solution as something that can simplify their internal processes and that can help them to go through the actual challenges in the more digital, more sustainable, and also shorten the lead time. So I think it's really coming at the right point where brands really are demanding that.
Okay, thank you. Shivang.
Hi. So when we first built our products and we took it to consumers and to brands, they had one general reaction. They said, "We don't believe this. We don't think it can be done." And when we actually showed them a product, the instinctive reaction was always, "Wow." They couldn't believe it. Many times, even now, we come across brands and customers of ours who cannot believe that such technology exists that can help you simplify your entire business, that helps you derive enormous amounts of data to help you reduce waste, become more sustainable. And of course, at the core and the crux of it all is give their own consumers. Now we're a B2B company, so the brands we work with give their own consumers an experience that is immersive, enthralling, and delightful. So the consumers walk away with a happy experience and something that they've not witnessed before in many cases, and something that they want to play with again and again. And that's generally what drives us, even as a business and a company. It's seeing that joy and seeing what the businesses that use our products derive in terms of tangible, realistic, everyday benefits.
Thank you. Gabriella.
Yes, in terms of JOOR, I mean, when I usually show a demo, so the brands are always, let's say, happy about what they see because they understand it's a very complete solution. So when they see the demo at the beginning, they think, okay, this is just a solution that we can use to sell our products. But then they understand, okay, no, actually, besides selling, we can also create and share digitally our collections. We can have our customized virtual showroom. We can do analysis. And so, I mean, they realized that our is a platform that was built upon the feedback that we received by brands and retailers in the past 11 years. It's a standard solution, so they understand they don't need to worry about maintenance, updates, new releases. And in terms of the assets, I mean, it's very user-friendly to use. And in terms of assets, we are requiring items that the brands already have in terms, of products, catalog, lookbooks, still life images, 360 videos. Those are all things that they already have, and that in any case they are really to produce. We are also working with some partners, for example, for the 360 videos. So if they don't have a contact, we can also provide them with contacts of companies that can help them with those assets. But in general, I would say the feeling is that it's very user friendly. You have a lot of assistance. You have a dedicated customer success manager. So they feel quite comfortable in joining a platform like ours because it seems very easy to use since the beginning.
Thank you. Mao, it's your turn. Since you have the background in gaming, maybe you know how to make them happy and make them play.
Thank you. I think in general, people are very skeptical about digital human, and I think there's a reason why we recently see more and more better digital human. And before, a couple of years ago, it was technically not possible. And thanks to the advancement in CGI rendering technique, but also machine learning, AI, it really helps to make the more credible digital human. But that's actually one thing I want to emphasize. That recently, also with the pandemic, people also kind of like start to embrace digital human more. Simply, you don't have choice. Real humans are sitting safe at home. You still need to interact, and that's why I think digital human, it won't be just for now. I think it will be something that you're gonna see a lot more in the future, and that's why we are here to kind of provide that solution in general. There's something that also you might know is MetaHuman from Epic that we're gonna have discussion today later in the talk about the metaverse. That also have some connection with this topic. But in general, yes, clients are wow to see a beautiful image, but when you start to make it move and talk, that is where the uncanny skills kicks in. And I just my voice to make people this problem and that they don't see it as a problem maybe. But having a more realistic but also reliable or trustful looking human, we actually create a better connection with the clients, and that's what is missing right now. People don't trust robots because they look like robots. But that's my opinion.
If there's anyone with an opposite opinion, please raise the hand. And my question is, since Mao addressed the COVID issue, fashion industry is a very fast industry. Tech industry is a even faster industry. This year was even faster. Everything was faster because we needed to find solutions. So in a longer trajectory in the future, if you have the horizon, I don't know, in 20 years, 10 years, I don't know. It's difficult also to choose a number. What do you see in terms of what is going to happen, and in terms of what is going to be as it was before COVID, when the emergency will stop? Let's get back from Aileen.
Okay, so that's a great question that everybody would love to be able to answer. But we've come a long way. COVID definitely accelerated everything. It accelerated the change that was needed in supply chain, the change around tech and adoption. Pre-COVID, trying to convince brands and buyers to go digital, it was quite a difficult part of our job. But then with COVID, the whole veil of mystery was removed, and the necessity was there, and that has been fantastic. COVID, we are going through an absolutely kind of a distinct era in our history and time. When we look back in history, how those moments are properly defined is through fashion, through culture, through technology. And I think we're going to really see that when we reflect, even in 5 years' time, 2.5 years' time, that this moment that we're living through right now is going to be the precursor to massive change. So what would that change look like in 10 years? Mao has already talked about the metaverse, and that's going to be another interesting panel discussion later on. But certainly this convergence that everybody's trying to work towards. the fashion industry is inherently slower to move. The creative process is very different. It's a more collaborative process, whereas the digital creative process, yes, it is collaborative, but maybe the tools make it a little bit faster. So it's trying to kind of figure out the pace for both to kind of coexist and kind of move forward. But certainly the interplay between digital and physical is the bit that I'm very excited about. How this sort of dual existence might pan out, in terms of how we're wearing clothes digitally. How are we neutralizing physical clothes so we can wear heightened, sort of embellished digital clothes? I don't know. Like it's going to be very exciting, but I think it's going to. At the moment, we're very much in those embryonic stages of this hybridization. And I think what fashion needs to start doing with digital is bringing back, not bringing back, but working towards a new emotion, a new context, the beauty and the utility. And once we're able to establish those, I think the sustainability piece will just, wrap around it. But for me, they're the kind of four real pillars of how we can move forward with fashion and technology.
Thank you. Céline.
Yes, that's actually a huge question and very interesting question. So as I was saying, I was a fashion model before, and at the time I really realized that we were at the early beginning of a huge transformation in the fashion industry in terms of sustainability and also digitalization. And I think everyone knows it. The coronavirus crisis has really accelerated things because digital tools are there and are ready to be used. But with the coronavirus crisis, we had to use it. And when I was asking a few years before the coronavirus crisis if some designers are using a lot of digital tools, they were saying not really. But now there are more and more. And I really believe that brands in the next years will use all these digital tools to rethink the creation and the production process, and also to reduce the gap between the consumers and the brands. So, for example, to produce better and choose more sustainable processes. So I really think the whole industry is changing in this way right now. And brands have been evolving since these few months and these last years, and they are more and more evolving in this way. So I think it will accelerate things. Also, we have noticed that in the past, the Fashion Week's calendar were super stressful for many brands, and allowing some brands to produce their own digital content is really helping the whole transformation to a more responsible production. So,
yeah. Thank you. Shivang.
Again, like has been said, a huge question. During the pandemic, the adoption of digital mediums has been accelerated 5 years. So if you ask about what's going to happen 10 years down the line, that's something that's mind-boggling to even think about. But the way that I would see the world going down is the adoption of digital and physical seamlessly in a world where you're simultaneously living a full, rich physical life. But at the same time, you have an entirely digital persona that ties in with it. It's no longer disparate and separate. So you're no longer buying clothes for your physical self or trying to dress a digital version of you. It's kind of seamless through wearables, through technology that AI is enabling, through holograms. All of these are technologies that are coming seamlessly in the future. From a fashion brand standpoint, it basically will enable brands to design, produce, manufacture, distribute, and improve their entire logistics on a digital basis. So a lot of the work that is involved in manual labor can turn towards creativity, and the manual labor part of it can all be handled by digital media. And that's where I think the world is going, and you will start seeing this change as early as in the next 2 to 3 years, as the fashion industry rapidly adopts all this technology and starts to amalgamate it.
Thank you. Gabriella.
Yes, I mean, this is a very hot topic right now. Of course, there has been, studies from McKinsey as well saying that, what started as a crisis response due to COVID is now become the new normal with, huge implications on how brands and retailers will do their business in the future. And I mean, if I take JOOR, for example, we registered a 50% increase in the order value in 2020 versus the previous year. And we are registered, transactions every month, orders exchanged by brands and retailer of 1.7 billion every month, so which is a huge number. And at the same time, even if I think that this is the new normal now, digital will take a bit of time still, and it won't be, the digital adoption and going digital won't be immediate, for from all the brands and buyers. But we are getting there, and the COVID has accelerated a lot the digitalization in general.
Perfect. Mao.
Thank you. Indeed, very good questions, and I really agree with Aileen that this whole process has been accelerated by the COVID pandemic. And how I see the future with fashion is, I see a future where we actually have our own avatar, like your my likeness, to be integrated in e-commerce. So basically allow you to shop with your body measurement, your face, and actually trying out your clothes. Because imagine that if I have to buy a dress for my wife, I have to guess her size. But imagine if I can borrow her avatar to try out that outfit. How great would that be? But then also, I don't see this whole digitalization replace the existing market. It will be more often as a hybrid or maybe a solution. Think also in the area of direct to avatar business, which is meaning basically skins for games, and where you start to see Fortnite, the biggest game in the world, start to selling branded outfit, to consumer that play the games. That's a huge market. That's called the direct to avatar business that no one really had tapped into yet. I can imagine the world of 10 years from now, maybe you will buy a physical item at the Adidas store. Maybe you will be able to wear the same outfit digitally. And maybe this sounds like science fiction, but I think our kids who are more familiar with playing games and this is kind of like normal for them. And the last thing I want to touch base is the whole NFT hype that you see a lot. Although it seems like hype, I do think there is a really good use case for NFT to fight counterfeit products that are fake. And using NFT, you can prove this is a real valid product from a luxury brand. So hopefully this will be the future. That's how I see the future. But I'm sure you guys also have other opinion. Yeah.
If someone has something to add to this particular point, you are free to talk, obviously. And so I have a lot of questions in my mind, but I'm going to follow what I wrote down before. If I say it now, I'm going to say a fancy word, and I'm going to ask you to explain me what does it mean. Phygital is something between physical and digital, and it's something that you are working with, basically, and you are going to working with in the next years. So getting back closer to our present now, instead of looking to 10 years from now, maybe next year's phygital, this fancy word could be the word. Aileen.
Digital is actually something that we would have talked about even in 2017. It's a word that's been sort of circulating, and it's a word that definitely fitted well with what SKMMP was trying to do. So digitizing, a kind of a very heavy manual workflow around presenting collections, centralizing those collections in a really intuitive portal for the buyers, allowing transactions, but also kind of running parallel to that, augmenting experiences that buyers expect to feel during Fashion Week. So again, that emotion, fashion is definitely with all of what we've just spoken about, and kind of the metaverse and kind of the hybridization of things. Phygital for me is two things. It's kind of the taking away nonsensical workflows that congest things, and that's the application of really good digital tools. The physical piece is bringing the best part of the physical interaction that happens during Fashion Week, or happens during a sales meeting, or happens during a press launch, or whatever it is, and retaining that and making that better. And they're kind of the two core pieces that we try and keep and stick with. But I think even in the not so distant future, and this is the role of the kind of creators who are really at the forefront of creating digital experiences in terms of what Mao's doing, Shivang, how these experiences are then realized in this sort of digital way. And I think for me, I don't really want to see digital replicating too much of the physical. I want the digital to be kind of blow my mind in terms of experience, a sensory experience. But yes, I think phygital for me is about really applying sensory technology and the human sensory sort of appreciation of fashion and the moment, etc.
Thank you. Céline. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, phygital is a word that would be used, in my opinion, to show that digital can help the physical world. And at Eva Engines, we help brands to take decisions based on the digital for the physical world. So that's how I would see it.
Okay. Shivang?
The phygital is such a massive term because it blurs the lines between physical and digital. So where do you stop being physical? When do you start becoming purely digital? And phygital helps to merge these along. The way that we like to look at it is the digital aiding in the physical, but the physical also feeding back to influence the digital. I'll give you a concrete example of this. Now, we create avatars, which are then dressed in virtual copies of real clothes. So a shopper can see how they look and fit before they decide to buy them. But when they've bought these clothes, there's a feedback loop digitally that knows the customer has bought these clothes and how they've reacted to them. And that feeds back into the process of recommending new clothes and new fits to these consumers that they might not have spoken or thought about before. And this is really what phygital means to me and to us at Bigthinx, where it is seamless, and there are no clearly defined lines anymore going forward.
Thank you. Gabriella.
I mean, it's such a broad term. For us means being able to, allow your people, the people within your company and your clients to transact remotely and saving so much cost and resources. It means enhancing the physical experience so that you are still traveling, you are still meeting with your customers, but you have a tool that is helping you to do your business in a smarter and more efficient way. But now digital, I think, is also becoming quite a necessity, not just to save cost and resources, but also to offer a more sustainable method, because we understood that going forward, being sustainable is like the only way to to save our world. So it's more of for a more sustainable business model for sure.
Okay, thank you. Mao?
Well, I have to talk about the metaverse. If you talk about the physical, I think a good example is little Michaela. She's a virtual influencer. She's half digital and half real human, because her body is actually from a real person. And the benefit of using a virtual influencer, if you think about it, they won't age, they don't complain about the paycheck, and they don't get COVID, right? So they're perfect in this time of COVID. And they're probably being really loyal and will never cause any affair with or any thing that can cause damage to your brand. So that's a good example, I think, of digital. And that also kind of raising the question about the future, more like a philosophical question. What happens if digital becomes so real that you can't tell the difference between what's fake and what's real? What happened then? That's maybe a discussion that we're gonna need a lot more hours to talk. But basically, I just want to say this is where we're heading, because what we can imagine in films and in real life, events probably will happen one day, and that's kind of confirmed with movies like Her and other sci-fi movies that you see.
And that's exactly the last question I want to ask you about this kind of this topic future. In very very short answers, maybe if you can share your own opinion. If you don't want, you can just avoid the question. You know how to do it. But do you think? Are you enthusiastic, optimistic, or a little bit scary?
If you ask me, then a lot of people refer to the Black Mirror in terms of what we're doing. Like we're creating this dystopian future with humans that replace us. But then the same thing happened when we introduced cars back to the beginning of the century. People are skeptical. You're gonna kill this device can kill you, but we are still driving every day. So yes, because it's such a new thing, it will be more seen as a like a alien thing. But then there's also good usage of this virtual human. For example, during COVID, people are really lonely, and maybe it's good to have a conversation bot that can talk to you, and keep maybe people are help people through the lonely time. But there's also people who use this conversation bot or avatar to help all people processing the sorrow. When people when a relative dies, you can actually bring them back and reunite people who are from the past. So yes, I agree. There's a lot of concern about this, but I'm not afraid, because I think we are smart enough to tell the difference.
We hope so. We hope so. Do anybody have something to add to this? Because they are telling me from behind the screen that we are running out of time, so they are trying to say, we don't have time. But we can just, if you had something to add to this topic, view of the future.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, what I would say, yes. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think humans so we are afraid of changement and of novelty and artificial intelligence and new technology, but I don't think we should. And I'm really optimistic about the future. I really think we should see these new technologies as tools that will empower our teams and our companies and also our day-to-day life. And we can also control the way that we are using them and building the future in a more sustainable and more responsible way. So that's my opinion.
Gabriella, you were saying? Something?
Exactly. I agree. I completely agree with her. And also we need to remember that a machine, in order to work, always needs a human. So at the end of the day, machines cannot replace completely human. We still need someone who is using and managing them. So I wouldn't be scared about going digital.
Okay, perfect. So
I would also just add there
yeah,
that
please.
yes, just really quickly. So yeah, everything Céline and Gabriella have said, but I just think that the future digital is part of our evolution now. It really it's part of how we're going to move forward as humans, as a human race, and it at the end of the day, there is so much that I suppose digital can't replicate just yet. The emotion, the psychological, the kind of physiology. It said biological. It's doing a great job at it, but hopefully, what digital will do will really help us in the future, whether it's with health, emotions, or from a psychological point of view. But I'm very optimistic about how digital is going to help the human race.
Shivang.
I don't have so much more to add to that. I think the future is an exciting time with digital. And one of the major things that we hope to be seeing is being able to get rid of tasks that are chores and leave ourselves as a race far more time to engage in things that fulfill us creatively, innovatively, and just doing the things that make us happy. And that's where I see digital leading us.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, and I hope so. We hope so. Thank you very very much. We are out of time. It was very very interesting and a nice panel. And thank you again, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.